Hey, it's Sam here from Magic with Gadgets. So, today's episode, I thought I could answer a reader question. I had actually answered this in YouTube comments, but it comes up an awful lot and I feel like it needs explaining and talking about more. And the question is, why do you not say if it's air fry, roast or bake? So basically they're asking why I don't say which setting I actually plug into my air fryer. So let's discuss. Well, it's simple really, because the Ninja brands all have all these different settings. So they have the ones that say air fry, roast, bake, etc. But not all air fryers are built equal, and it's only the Ninja products, or I've only ever seen it on the Ninja machines that actually say this. So for example, let's have a look at the machines that I've got behind me right now. So I've got the Cosori, and this obviously isn't Ninja, so this just has air fry, or it has start and stop, and some presets. Then I've got the Speedy, which does of course have roast, bake and air fry, as well as other buttons. Then I've got the Ninja Foodi 15-in-1, so exactly the same thing. So it's got all these different settings on there, and it's even got loads more like steam, air fry, steam bake and such like. Over behind me, I have my Instant Pot. Again, that just has air fry, or it has other settings like pressure cook, slow cook and whatnot. And then right behind me, I've got the Ninja Flex Straw, and then with that one, that is another Ninja one. So that does bake, roast, air fry, dehydrate and such like. But basically, it's just something that the Ninja brand brought out. So it's like a slightly slower air fryer is bake and roast. If I use bake or roast, I should say, it makes it sound like some sort of baked goods the way I say it together. Then what happens is it's just a couple of minutes underdone. Say if it's something I would normally air fry, there's not that much difference in it. I've done chips before and tested it with the baked versus the roast versus the air fry, and there's really not much in it. I'd say the main thing about the Ninja to note is that their air fry setting doesn't go low enough for the 120 Celsius, 250 Fahrenheit that we use quite a bit in recipes. And that is what we use if we want to melt some butter, melt some chocolate, boil some eggs, defrost food and such like. That is the setting we use for that. But so in that case, we do actually say use the bake setting down to 120 in more recent recipes. But considering we have a lot of viewers that have the Cosori brand, or they have the Philips air fryer, they have the Tower air fryer. There's just so many different brands out there. So generally speaking, even when I am using the Ninja Foodi or the Ninja brand, I will still use air fry. I only ever use bake if I need to get to that lower temperature that air fry doesn't do. So that's why I don't say it. If I was doing a series and I was basing it around just Ninja, then I say which setting it is. But when it's a universal, say I'm doing air fried chicken breast, I've got to keep it as simple for everybody out there rather than just those with the Ninja. And that's why I just say air fry. And you'll notice I'm not the only one. Unless it's someone that's famous for a Ninja product, you will find they all say the same. They all say air fry, or they just say time and temp. And that's because it's set a standard. If you're following, say, a recipe for, I don't know, air fried chicken nuggets, then it's an air fryer recipe. So you would assume it would just be air fry. That's logically what I would think if I was following another recipe, because, you know, I try out recipes as well. So that's why I think that people do that. It's because a lot of people don't even have the Ninja. I know a lot of content creators in the US, they don't have the Ninja. They're either Cosori or they're another similar brand. So, you know, Ninja, whilst it's become hugely popular in the UK, I've still got a lot of Cosori fans. You know, in fact, it's that exact same Cosori that I actually recommended to my best friend when she wanted an air fryer, because she's got a bright red kitchen, and I thought, yeah, that's gonna match it. And she loves it, and I just love seeing it. Whenever I go into a house and I see the lovely red air fryer in her red kitchen, it's just like, wow, this looks good. And I do love my Cosori. That's why it's often out. You know, it's simple to use. I prefer using it from an air fryer point of view over the Ninjas, and of course the Philips air fryer as well. You know, I think the benefit that the Ninja has, the one behind me there, is it's a flex straw, so it's much bigger. So it just depends what I'm actually cooking. But I'm more leaning towards my Cosori over my other ones, which again just has a start and stop. It just has a set a temperature, set a time, and that's there, you're done. I think the Ninja overcomplicates it by trying to make it sound a lot more interesting. So it makes it sound more expensive, I think, or more premium, I should say, because it has all these different buttons. Just like when the Instant Pot started out, they had things like a soup setting, they had a beans setting, and you're like, it's just a preset of a time and temp, you know, whilst the bake setting, I use it for reducing stuff in my Speedy, because it's brilliant for reducing food. So like if you're cooking a stew, or you want to just thicken up a soup or a curry, then I'll use a bake. And then whenever I do use the bake, I always mention it. So if you're wondering why I don't mention whether it's bake, whether it's roast and such like, that's the reason why. And I think I've only ever used the roast setting on any of my Ninjas about once. The steam roast I have, you know, you can see lots of our YouTube videos there for that. So for cooking your roasting meats and things like that. But for everyday use, the air fry button is fine. So unless I say otherwise, it's always air fry. And like I said, to recap, if you've got food that you need to cook at a lower temperature and you are using a Ninja, then just swap it for bake. You could use the bake or roast setting or air fry setting across the board. It only slightly changes the end result of the food anyway, so it's up to you what you use. But that's the reason why myself and other content creators just say set the time and temperature, which is how it comes across in our cookbooks there as well. They say set the temperature and then the time, and that is it. And that is all you need if you're in a standard air fryer. It's just that with different gadgets, you're bound to have it where they all operate differently, and it's just getting your head around the rules of the different ones, like the settings they have, and then going from there. And now what we try to do is we try to do the screen for you as we're setting the time and temp on our videos. So if we have used bake or whatever, or air fry, you'll be able to see straight away from those videos. None of our earlier ones did this because, you know, we didn't have a Ninja for quite some time. And our YouTube channel, we started that during lockdown in 2020. And of course, we didn't get our first Ninja till, I think it was 2023, but you know when you can't remember. So, you know, obviously we've got 3 years of content before we'd even tried a Ninja or knew that they had different buttons. So I hope that explains it for you, and also explains that the air fry button is the standard one that we use the majority of the time. Thanks so much for listening, and you can find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, and of course Instagram. And you know, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, or why not head over to kitchengadgetsclub.com/newsletter and join our weekly newsletter, where we go into detail about all our favourite kitchen gadget recipes, tips, tricks and resources. And a ciao for now.